here's Brody Brazil.
Well, just when you thought things were calming down on the sports discipline front for betting and gambling, with basketball recently suspending a player for life, baseball recently suspending a player for life, the whole Shohei Ohtani scandal that wasn't him but was his interpreter, and then 4 other baseball players recently suspended each for 1 season. Just when you thought all that was kind of calming down and being settled and sorted away, up comes this. News from ESPN and Jeff Passan that a Major League Baseball umpire is being disciplined for some sort of gambling participation. We don't really know the details surrounding Pat Hoberg, just that he has not worked a single baseball game this season. That's part of his discipline, and he's appealing it right now. So I'll link down below to the full story by Jeff and ESPN, what they're saying, but I want to dive into the details here first of Pat Hoberg. He's 37 years old. He's been a big league umpire since 2014. He's been a full-time staff member of Major League Baseball since 2017. He's an Iowa native, and this was pretty cool when they did the Field of Dreams game in Dyersville back in 2022. They asked him to work the game. Baseball thinks highly of Pat Hoberg. He's efficient. He's competent. They put him in playoff games, which is a reward for Major League Baseball umpires. You understand they can't have all of them working playoff games, but Mr. Hoberg had umpired playoff games every season between 2018 to 2022, and then in 2023, he was assigned pool games for the World Baseball Classic. So he gets these chances and opportunities because he's good at what he does. That's been reviewed among his peers and players and people in the baseball world. In fact, Pat Hoberg has this reputation of calling a perfect game. No, not pitching a perfect game. Calling a perfect game in Game 2 of the 2022 World Series. He was the home plate umpire for Game 2, and he was correct on all 129 pitches. I know you're saying, wait, there's more pitches in a game than that. I'm talking about the called balls and strikes. He didn't miss a single one of them. What the computer said versus his calls, they all lined up. How amazing is that? We need to stop the video right here and now. If you've never heard of this before, this was kind of a big deal after Game 2 back in 2022. I just want to remember this. This is Pat Hoberg. And so he's regarded as one of the best ball and strike umpires across Major League Baseball. It's not easy. It's not even human to be that perfect on such a big stage 129 times. 129 for 129. That's pretty impressive. But it brings us into the discipline part of what's going on here. Now, everybody was starting to notice that he had not worked a Major League Baseball game yet in 2024. And you never want to jump to conclusions. Is there something going on, personal-wise, health-wise? Well, there is some details on the discipline, but the details of the violation are unknown. And really, the discipline is also unknown. They've kept him out. What are they intending to do? We don't know, because we also don't know exactly what he's being accused of. All we know is the report by ESPN says he's violated gambling rules. Now, is that Rule 21 of betting on baseball? Is there betting on other sports? Is it a gray area? Is it something black and white? Again, we don't know that yet, and I don't want to be irresponsible here and jump to any conclusions, but we'll get to some takeaways in just a second. Hoberg is appealing and has denied any betting on baseball. So there is that. There's also a pair of statements here to read through. This is first what MLB said about the entire situation. During this year's spring training, Major League Baseball commenced an investigation regarding a potential violation of MLB's sports betting policies by umpire Pat Hoberg. Mr. Hoberg was removed from the field during the pendency of that investigation. While MLB's investigation did not find any evidence that games worked by Mr. Hoberg were compromised or manipulated in any way, MLB determined that discipline was warranted. Mr. Hoberg has chosen to appeal that determination. Therefore, we cannot comment further until the appeal process is concluded. A couple things there. Baseball always really wants you to know that games were not affected by the individual bets of its personnel. And so they insist that here. So does Mr. Hoberg. They say they did not find any evidence, at least, that games were manipulated or compromised in any way. And obviously here, when you think about the appeal of it and the suspension or the discipline, so to speak, what's the accusation? Is the discipline the rest of this year? Is it the rest of his career? That's not exactly clear. All we do know is that they found enough. They found enough to set him aside for right now. And you'd have to think that they've found something. Major League Baseball and the Umpires Association, they would not be okay with this on grounds of just speculation alone. They've got to be operating on something. So here's the response by Hoberg to ESPN. Quote, "I'm appealing Major League Baseball's determination that I should be disciplined for violating the sports betting policies. While that appeal is pending, it would not be appropriate to discuss the case. That said, I've devoted my adult life to the profession of umpiring, and the integrity of baseball is of the utmost importance to me. I look forward to the appeal process, and I am grateful that the Major League Baseball Umpires Association is supporting me in the appeal." Okay, we've now arrived at some of the takeaways here. Like I said before, he's not put in this situation unless there's some smoke. I don't know how much fire there is, or if the fire's already been extinguished, or if the fire was the size of a candle or the size of a dumpster fire. We don't actually know that, but there is something here that caught everybody's attention, that warranted the investigation, and that warranted some kind of discipline by baseball. But it's way too early to judge or know or understand any of that. So let's not go too far. Let's only recognize that, hey, baseball's got some issues here. It's not even just the players anymore or their interpreters anymore. There's a Major League Baseball umpire that's been found to be doing something questionable. Why would anybody jeopardize a job like this? If you're a player, if you're a manager, if you're a coach, if you're an umpire, if you're anybody working in Major League Baseball who already knows that betting is not with the rules. You can't do it. I mean, look at Pete Rose. His name, his image, and what he did has been standing for decades. You can't do it. Why would you jeopardize your career? And in the case of players, they make a lot of money to go along with their career. So it's not just their passion and their profession. It's the chance to make hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars in their career that they're risking and or sacrificing for sports betting. Now, if you're an umpire, you're not making that same dollar amount, but in the case of Mr. Hoberg here, he has said he's dedicated his entire life to this profession. Why risk it at all? If this is a no-no, you've got to know that, and you've got to stay away from it as far as you can. And again, all of this on the heels of the Ohtani situation, which we have apparently determined, at least the federal government has, that it was all his interpreter, Ippei. Took the money, did the betting. Shohei, not guilty of betting, maybe guilty of ignorance. But you've got the Marcano situation. He was just banned for life by baseball. You've got 4 other baseball players who are suspended for a year. In the NBA, you just had a basketball player who received a lifetime suspension for betting on games that he was playing in. So the point is, there's likely more of this incoming. Things that baseball hasn't realized yet, hasn't found out about yet, hasn't investigated yet. If you think it was only 5 baseball players and 1 umpire, there's hundreds of people out there, and maybe some more of them doing things that are against the rules. So it's kind of a headache to go down that road and that route and think, well, we're just starting to uncover the problem. But based on where baseball has been, sports have been, the emergence of sports betting in real time on your phone, it's legal in states, it's being encouraged constantly. Some people can't stop themselves from doing this. They're competitive. That's why they're good at what they do. But they have this thing where they can't stop themselves from betting. And in the case of professional sports, you just can't be associated with that. So Pat Hoberg, for the meantime, not going to be umpiring games in 2024 until this all gets resolved. I think the general public, I don't want to say they deserve to know, But everybody's going to be interested to find out what happened here, what's the end result, who was right, what's the definitive information and evidence, and what's the punishment or not. Has he already served his punishment? Is it just a little bit more, or is it a lot more for Pat Hoberg? We don't know. But again, now we're into umpires getting suspended for sports betting. You made it here to the end of this video. You know I really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That greatly helps me in this video and this channel. I really appreciate that. And also, if you wouldn't mind, go down there and hit that subscribe button. I don't know if you've ever seen me or any of this before, but I'm glad you found me, and I want to see you back here next time. So go down there and subscribe, and we'll do it all over again.